Today, we are simulcast on both YouTube and LinkedIn. And today on Conversation with Tony Mobley, I am talking to Mr. Santiago Salinas, screenwriter and director. This is episode 88 of Conversation with Tony Mobley. Thanks to everyone for being a part of the journey. I want to thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for all of their hard work. You can go to conversationwithtonymobley.com. There you can participate in the Mukana chat where you can ask questions of our guest for tonight. Mukana is courtesy of Alex Lindsay and 090, and we would love for you to put your questions in, and those questions can be voted up and down if you go to our website, conversationwithtonymobley.com. But you can also ask your questions in YouTube. And we are ready to get started with our guest, who is all the way from Mexico City. And we are so happy to have you, Santiago Salinas.
Tony, thanks for having me. I'm stoked.
I'm so happy to have you, and thank you so much for tuning in from Mexico City, Mexico. And we are excited to talk about your film. But before we talk about your film, we want to talk about who you are. So our very first question is going to be, who are you, Santiago Salinas?
Well, thank you, Tony. Thanks again for having me. Well, I'm a Mexican filmmaker. First of all, I'm a human. I'm a human who decided to become an artist since a very young age, and becoming an artist, it has become also a spiritual path in quest of myself, and using my work and research to reflect what's going on the outside world and inside of me. So hopefully the public can reflect themselves during my movies, while they're watching my movies. I'm a father of two. I'm married to Cristina. I'm a father of Maria Julia, my 7-year-old daughter, and Emiliano, who is about to become 5. And I'm in between projects. I just finished my opera prima, my first feature film. It has been a long ride to be here, talking to different kind of media, going to festivals around the world. And it has been the storytelling, and the art of storytelling has become an essential part of me and my life and my family, and of course my survival. And yeah, basically, this can give you a hint of who I am.
Amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that. There's a couple of things that I want to lift up that you mentioned, inspiration and spirituality. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And then we also want to talk about your family and how they have inspired you to work on your art.
Mm-hmm. So I will start with the last one. Well, my family, during the making of this feature film called Goy, well, they were very involved in the process. When I was about to shoot the film, after all the writing and financing process that it was the longest for me, the pandemic hit. So we had to go inside as everyone else, and life changed for everyone. And so I had to redesign my script and redesign the production so we can complete it with a very strict way of making it so no one would get infected for COVID. in terms of taking care of people, but also taking care of the budget. So my family was really involved. Actually, Cristina helped me produce it in an administrative way. And my daughter, Maria Julia, she has a small appearance in the film.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
So they're quite involved in my work process and my artistic endeavor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. How did you get started with filmmaking?
Well, I knew that I wanted to tell stories since a very young age, but it took me a while to make the decision that I wanted to become a filmmaker. So when I was around 12, 13 years old, I really wanted to make my fantasies in my head to tell them as a story. And then I found these TV programs that talked about the process of movie making, how they make films, like the behind the scenes. So I got really interested in those kind of programs, and they really inspired me. So I really like to know how things are made technically. So during a young stage of during my young age, I was very interested to learn the technical part of the cinema. And then when I was a little bit older, before going to university, I started to travel a lot around Mexico. I did several trips around Mexico with my backpack and a camera. I love to take photos. And I think that was my first approach of becoming an artist and trying to express what inspired me along my way. But it wasn't enough back then. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And a couple of years of bouncing around countries and traveling and studying, I decided finally to go and study film. And that's where it all started. I also had the opportunity to go and study film in Ireland. And when I came back from Ireland, I had my first gig for the audiovisual industry. I used to work for a network, like an MTV kind of channel, like a music video channel. And we did a lot of concert production for TV. And we did a lot of biographies for artists and rock stars and singers, and also actors and actresses. And that's how I got involved in the industry at the first glance. But then I knew that that path was going to have an end. I wanted to make stuff that came from inside me. I wanted to tell my own stories. And one day I decided to quit. And I took the leap of faith and started making video clips for a lot of bands that I met along the way during that era. And that's how my independent career started. I started to building some trust to some clients, and I started to making some ads for TV. And as soon as I knew, I founded a company, a production company, and I was already producing companies for advertising agency, and also brands. And then one thing took to another, and then the project started to scale. But then it wasn't enough again, because again, I was telling the story of someone else. No, I was telling stories for these companies, and at the end of the day, I started writing my first script, took time, and a lot of blood, tears, and patience, and discipline, and fire, and hell, and everything. But then that part of me started to become more aware that that was the path that I was wanting to really bring it alive. But during the advertisement years, I learned a lot as a producer, as a director, and also as a leader, and how to better use your resources in a more freely creative way. And it gave me wings so I could gain confidence on set to talk to the people behind the camera and also the people in front of the camera. So I'm very lucky and grateful for that part of my life because it gave me a lot of field hours. That's how I would put it. And so when I got the chance to work on my film, I already had these hours behind me, and I felt comfortable during the making of my first feature.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, I'm curious, what was that first camera that you had when you were backpacking?
It was a Pentax K1000. I don't know if you know it. It's a 35 millimeter. It's a very basic, very I mean, it was a manual camera. It's a still camera, and it was very practical. Like it wasn't too delicate, but it wasn't so robust, so you could carry it very easily everywhere. And also, it was very simple. It just needed the film to have enough pictures left to keep using it.
Right.
And it was a great camera to start with.
Sounds like it was. I'm a Nikon man myself, but
All right.
I know a lot of people that use Pentax. So thank you so much for sharing that. How did you get your talent?
How did I get my talent? I don't
I
know.
actually I meant recruiting your talent for your film.
Like, you mean the cast?
Getting the cast.
Okay. So after writing the script and after funding that script to make the film come true, the most important part is the casting process. It's like half of the process for the movie making. You're going to choose the people that are going to appear on your film that will be on your film forever. So I'm very into this process because the people that are going to appear on the film is the people that are going to bring life to your characters. So you have to be very open to listen to the actors and the actresses, very open. And in my case, the casting process was through Zoom, as we're speaking right now. No, it was like there were like Zoom sessions because we had to start the casting process because of the pandemic this way. So this process was new for me and mostly for a lot of the actors. And at the beginning, there was a resistance from everyone because normally the casting process, you make them in a room so you can sense and you can give directions to the cast. So at the beginning there was a resistance, but then when I decided to commit to the process, I started watching that the cast was coming to me. I'm not gonna say easier, but they were coming to me. It was.
Would you say that the engagement between you and the actors that were auditioning improved?
So what happened is that when they got really my attention, even that we were speaking through video cameras, both of us, I would took it as a great sign, because if that would happen to me as a director, that will happen as well to the audience. I don't know if I'm making this clear. So
Yes you are. You're
okay.
making it very clear.
So I really enjoyed it, actually, the process making it through Zoom, because the characters became more alive, and my process to work with actors. So I use images. I give them images to work with. So we work them in a very deep way. So it's the character that becomes alive, and they're not reading lines, or they're just trying to mimic a character. So the people that are in my film are the people that gave life to the character. So it's such an important process, and it was a very joyful process for me to meet my characters the way I did. It took us around 5 months of casting people, and but by the end of the process, we had a very unique, and I'm so glad that I chose the people that are appearing in my film. So I would say it's such an important process to cast and to make it in a delicate way. Take your time and listen to the actors, to the characters.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have a question from Clarlock Lopez Waterman. His question is, tell us about your recently released film.
Yeah, so my film is called Goy. I don't know if you know what's the meaning of this word.
I do not.
It means the stranger. Goy, it's a translated word. It comes from the Hebrew language, and it literally means the stranger, or like the outsider. And so my film is called Goy, and it's about a Jewish teenager who is about to compete in the swimming nationals. And when a goy that works at a radio station invites her to a concert, the adventures and romance between these two teens, well, they start to test the beliefs of their family. So what I speak about in my film is the conversation between tradition and the self-voice, the self-quest. That's what we talk about in my film. It's a coming of age film, and we follow Malka. She's the lead character, and she has always been following the rules of the religion, following the rules of the family, and her father mostly. And when she meets this guy, she starts to see specifics of the world that she hasn't been aware of. But what she mostly finds out from Chema, who is the guy that she meets, that he's the non-Jewish guy, she starts to question herself about how she has been looking at life. She learns that she hasn't tried anything, or maybe that she doesn't even have the clue before that she could choose what to do with her life. So it's a very feminine film in this matter. It's a very universal theme, but also it's a very, I would say, a very needed theme these days. I think in a lot of the media and a lot of the contents, the self-quest, we're very used to listen to follow your voice, no, in a lot of contents or in the media, or but what does it mean to follow your own voice? And what do you have to sacrifice to do that? And that's what I speak about in the film. And in the film, you see these clashes of different traditions, like the Jewish tradition, the Catholic tradition in Mexico, but also this guy, Chema, he works in a radio station, and it's an alternative rock station. So they're kind of another religion. They have their own truth as well. And also there's a political matter going on through the film. There's a guy that, a candidate that wanted to become a president, and there was a fraud, and he took over the downtown of Mexico City, and he's making a mess in the city, and he's also speaking his own truth, and all these conflicts, they clash between each other, and Malka is in between all those waves. So she has to learn how to surf all those waves so she doesn't sink or she doesn't drown. And that's the main theme that I talk through the film in a very subtle way, with a very easygoing pace, but with profound ideas, no? So this is what I talk about in my film.
That's amazing. And as you were talking, the audience got a chance to see the trailer. So while you were talking, the audience did get a chance to see the trailer. So I would just wanted to let you know,
Okay.
we couldn't hear it, but they could hear it and see it.
All right.
So I just want to let you know that Clalac Lopez Waterman is back, and his question this time is, how do you take your idea from your brain and heart to reality?
Mm-hmm. Well, my way, it's first given in structure. But before giving in structure, you have to find the voice of the project that you want to work with. And with that theme, the first part for me, and most of the screenwriters who do this, would write the premise of the film, or the log line of the film. So in this very short phrase, you will have to you have to be able to communicate the idea and the conflict of the movie in one line. And that's the first part. And when you have that log line done, then you set to structure the storyline, where it goes. If it's going to be a 3-act movie, for example, that it's most of the movies that we see these days. And you have to find the catalyst at the beginning, when the old world for the main character is going on. What catalyzes the main character to come out from his or her cocoon? And this could be a monster attacking the city, no? Or in my film, this would be this guy or Chema inviting this girl, this Jewish girl, to do something out of her comfort zone. And then you set out to structure these 3 acts, where in these 3 acts they have this catalyst and breaking points, and you have to be able to structure these 3 acts. And the way that I do it is, first I structure it using index cards. So you write all these piece of ideas from the beginning to the end, and sometimes you're skipping some in the middle, and then you write first the opening image and maybe the end of the movie, and then you start filling in the gaps just in short sentences. And in these turning points, they in the next step, they will become scenes. And what you have to make sure is that in every single scene, you have a turning point. So there's the main conflict of the character. It's inked or impressed in every single scene. So there has to be a strategy for every character appearing in the scene. And what does happen in the scene? Is this scene moving forward? Is it helping to move forward the story or not? And you have to play both sides, no? From the conflict point of view and from the hero's point of view, to say an example. So so first you have this idea, you write this tagline or logline, and then you start making your way in small pieces that maybe when you're writing the actual script, maybe they will disappear, or they will melt, or they will change order. But first you need to have like this map of your whole story before going to the actual writing of the script.
So I'm gonna interrupt you. So are you saying that you're using the cards as storyboarding? Is that
no? But the storyboard comes afterwards. I do use storyboards. The index card, it's to help you map your story, so you don't get loose in the process. Because when you are writing, it can become a very lonely place. And if you don't have this structure, it's very easy to get lost in the process. So at first you have to start like in a very mechanical way, like, okay, so my main character, she meets this guy after a swimming training session. What happens there? So maybe she's talking to her new coach that is giving her a bad time, and then this guy appears. So then you write all these ideas down in these cards, and it's like your first description of what will become your scenes. So it's a story map, just how to do it. So you can put it on your wall, like this wall used to have a lot of index cards, and then the storyboards and like that. So every time that you get lost, or you think or you feel that a scene is not working, you can always go back to these index cards and try to make it better in a way that the story always goes forward. So with this tool, then you can go to the actual script writing. No, so then you go to the script writing, and then so when you open your script program, the final draft or whatever you're using, when you go to the white page, Then you have your index card and you go opening image, and then you write what you wrote and you give it with a more extension of it, and then you describe the whole scene, what happens, and you play the cards around. But you know that opening image is your first page of the film already. And then you go to the next part, and then you go to the next part. And when you finish the script, and when you enter pre-production, in my case, when I was making my cast, I was working also in my storyboard in parallel. And I almost boarded every scene. But I didn't use it when I was on set. Because
you said you did all that work and you didn't use it. Wow.
Because I already did work it inside of me.
Okay.
So it gives me more freedom while I'm on set. So gotcha. I took it every day. And sometimes we have more technical scenes when we had more toys to play with, and the location was a difficult location. It was there were probably I don't know. Let's say there were hundreds of extras appearing on the back of the, and then it's a long shot or whatever. Maybe if you are feeling that there's something that it's not coming through very quickly, or while you're on location, you can always go back to your notes, to your script, and to your board. But in my experience, the storyboarding process gave me the freedom to experiment while I was on set, so I could spend more time talking to my actors instead of thinking about the technical stuff. So I already did that work before with my photographer, and I also boarded, and so it was like a play when I was on set, and it's a more joyful process for me, for instance, to make it this way, or for that film in specific. I don't know what will happen for the next one, but that was the freedom that it gave me.
Yeah, with this one, that worked. That
exactly
worked. Yes, fantastic. We have a question from Rabbi David Paskin from Miami, Florida. And his question is, how did your own religious journey influence or impact the story of your film?
How did my religious journey? Actually, I was in Miami. We presented the film. I don't know if you were there in the Miami Jewish Film Festival.
Absolutely.
So,
well, and I'm going to be transparent. I sent him the link to your film.
Okay. And was he in the film festival?
No, he's a part of the office hours community. And we were having a training today, and he was teaching the training. And I thought that he might want to view your film, and I thought he might have a question for you. So here's his question. So I'm going to read it again so that you can get ready. How did your own religious journey influence or impact the story of your film?
So what it really impacted the making of Goy was some experience of my own. I wouldn't say religious journey. I would say life experience. But what I speak in my film is how traditions are part of the way that we as society are educated, and it gives us a sense of community. Traditions give us a sense of people, no? In very different ways. And also, at some point, religions maybe when there could be a barrier between different minds, ways of thinking. So this is a main thing that is spoken through the film. And for Malka, the character, the main character, this is something that it's very hard for her to confront, to live with. And the structure, the family structure, it's founded by love, but also sometimes love could be coming from fear of knowing that nothing else is that you cannot control anything in life, and maybe that's what Malka finds out in the process of the film. So I don't know if I specifically answered the question for the rabbi, but it comes like all the artistic expression comes from some kind of experience in life. Maybe not literally, but the artist puts his voice and use the film as a canvas to project these ideas, so the people can choose how to or how with her or his own memories react to the work. So mainly in my film, I'm speaking about the quest for freedom, and I would invite him to watch my film, and it's going to be in a couple of Jewish film festivals. And
I think he's already watched it, and the reason why I say that, he has come in with another question. So Rabbi David Paskin from Miami, Florida, asks again. He says, "How did you learn about the Jewish community so as to reflect it and so powerfully and accurately in the film?"
Good question. So during my university years, I had a lot of, and I still have a lot of reach to the Jewish community. But I knew a lot of stuff about the Jewish tradition. I used to go to Shabbat to some friends' houses, but when I started writing the film, I had to make like real research. So I really took it seriously in this way. So I started going to more Jewish events. I started to talk more to my Jewish friends. I would tell them some of the storyline that I was planning to tell, and I would ask them, "Hey, do you know what happens when someone from your community meets someone from another religion? What happens?" And I was nurturing myself from real life experience, and I also kind of had a experience myself living with through this thing. That I think that was the main inspiration that I decided to make it a film. And research. I think that's the responsibility also of the artist, to make research, so you don't tell stories halfway in this matter. So for me, listening to this question, it's a super positive thing, and thank you for noticing it.
I want to say thank you, Rabbi David Paskin, so much for your questions. I appreciate it. So we have another question from Clark Lopez Waterman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ever do documentaries?
Yes, I have made quite some documentaries during my career. My first approach to documentary was when I made my thesis for uni, and it was a documentary film about the. It was a nature documentary. And then when I was working in this TV network that I told you, we made, I don't know, many biographies from artists and a lot of documentaries about different stuff. And actually now, this day, one of my next projects, it's a documentary. It's another project that I'm in a developing stage. And yes, I do.
Okay. Can you share anything about that project, or we have to wait and see?
No, yes. Actually, Tlaloc, that is asking a lot of questions over there in Philadelphia. He's one of my co-producers for this project. We're making a documentary film about his dad and the work his dad has developed over almost 50 years. He developed a method to understand dreams. But he also, in his research, he discovered how the psyche is divided and how the brain works. And his work made such an advance in the psychology studies that it's such a powerful tool that a lot of people are using these days, or since back on those days, but also in a scientific way of seeing it. His work it's a revolution in the science of psychology. So it's in developing stage, no? At the moment, I'm writing, researching, reading, and talking to people. And it's another kind of beast. In fiction, you write the things that are appearing in your heart, in your mind. It's a fantasy that you want to play as fiction, that you make real. And with documentary, it's a constant quest. And then the next day, something new appears, and then it changes all the pieces that the day before you were puzzling around. And so it's a constant working process. And it will be as every film, but I think that in the documentary, it will be finished until we are satisfied with the information that we get out from the work of Álvaro López Waterman, and talking to the people that have used his work. And yeah, that's what I'm working these days now.
Wow, that's amazing. So we have a question. Please talk for future filmmakers. Please share some of the tools, cameras that you like and why. And not just cameras, microphones, those things that you think are important to producing a quality film.
Okay, to produce a quality film. So I would say my photographer for this film that I made, he would say, he always use a phrase. Let me translate it first in my mind, because he says it in Spanish. He would say something like this. I hope in English it makes sense. It's not the arrow, it's the Indian. Does it make sense? What he tried, what my photographer wants to always reassure for himself is that the tools, the technical tools, that the cameras that you have available is not the most important thing. It's the way how you approach things with that tool. So any camera that you have around is the best. So of course, for a feature film, the better camera you have, it will always help. But if you can, ¿cómo se dice? If you would really, I forgot this word in English. If you would really use it in a profound way, but there are tons of equipment these days that have such a great quality. For example, for my film, we use an Arri, an Alexa Mini. We shot in 4K open gate, and it was beautiful. It sounds that it would be a very small camera, but it's not. It's like a big camera, a digital cinema camera, very versatile, and we used Cook lenses, mostly primes, and but depends on what you're doing. Like, for example, if you are going to make a documentary and you don't have such a big budget, like for a feature film, and you cannot bring a big camera crew, I think the smaller would be the most useful. And these days you can get such great quality from different cameras, no, from all these companies such as Arri or Sony or Red, no, but the best tool is the people you surround with, your team. So your photographer, so your sound guy, no, your editor. So for me as a director, I'm casting my whole team, my cast, but also the photographer, wardrobe, set design, the scouter. He has such a important role because he has to find the specific location that you are looking for in a film. So I would say the best tools are the people you are going to make the film with, and the way you express your ideas and communicate your ideas to them so you can get the most out of it. So that would be my answer.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. How many locations did you use for your film?
How many locations? There were several locations, around 21, I think. The locations in my film are a main production value. So we shot in different swimming pools. We shot demonstrations. We shot with cars in the night. We shot a concert. We shot the main location was the house of the main character. We stayed there we were shooting there for a whole week, during 2 weeks. But we also went to the forest. So we shot all around Mexico City, night shoots, day shoots. We have drone sequences. So it's like a very urban tale in this way. You get a glimpse of Mexico City, but in a specific time. It's set during the 2006, during those times when
Okay. Very cool. Thank you. Can you share a past success and a recent success and what you learned from them?
a past success. Well, I mean, making film is to live what I to live from what I do. It's my major success. To live from film in any form, that's a success. And to have a family, that's a success. And I already won in this matter.
I agree. I agree.
So I wouldn't speak success in terms of um, getting to a point that you like a destination. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Success is every day, the struggles of every day, and coming and turn the table around, and again and again and again. So for me, that's success. And sometimes it's very difficult even to say this when you are an artist. But that for me is success, and I'm very grateful to have this conversation with you, Tony, and yeah, I think the that's the major success that a human being can have, and to have all your not such a positive times with you, and also the positive times, and most of the times it's a struggle. Not the times that you go to a film festival and talk about your film and show it to the people. So each day at a time comes a success, and coming to your family, that's a success. So
Yeah, I want to share the link before we go to our last question.
yeah,
So the link where you can find the film is the Miami Jewish Film Festival, and that's miamijewishfestival.org. And the name of the movie is Goy,
exactly.
and it means stranger
Yeah, or the Gentile.
or the
Uh-huh.
Gentile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I learned something tonight. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you talked about the documentary that you're going to be doing with Mr. Lopez Waterman Sr.
Mm-hmm.
But what else is next for you?
I'm also working in my next feature. It's a comedy. I'm working in my script these days. I'm working in those both projects, and I'm writing at the moment. It's a comedy. I cannot tell you further details until I finished it,
Okay.
but it's a comedy, and hopefully I can share it with you guys soon. And I mean, I'm at the moment I'm enjoying the ride, starting over, and
Fantastic. And we're looking forward to you sharing it with us.
no,
And there is one more question. So
no,
this
please.
last question is: you're speaking to the world. What do you want the world to know?
What do you want to know? That I made a film, that I made a film called Goy, and hopefully soon there will be global distribution, so you can all watch it. And also my following projects, um, and that you should know that if you are looking to to bring life to your project, whatever it is, just listen to that voice and stick with it, and just make it happen. And it's not gonna be easy, I can tell you from my experience. And it doesn't become easier after you make one film. I think it's going to be even more difficult because now you have memories. But I think that's something that I would like you to know. And yeah, enjoy life.
Thank you so much, Santiago Salinas, for being with us and talking about your film, Goy. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I just want to say, again, thank you so much for tuning in from Mexico City. Last week, we had a great conversation with Mr. Kyle Hammond of Thank You Five, and it was a great conversation. If you have not had an opportunity to watch it, please go back and watch it. We want to also say to you, go back and look at the 80 plus episodes of Conversation with Tony Mobley. I think you will find something that you like and hopefully is helpful. Conversation with Tony Mobley can be usually heard by 98.1 FM, our radio listening audience out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Thanks to Taylor Stonerhouse, the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley, for making this happen. And we want to say again, thank you, Mr. Santiago Salinas. Thank you for our conversation today, for doing the work that you are doing, and being the person that you are. Conversation with Tony Mobley will continue next week with award-winning music composer Dr. Elena Rohr of MIT. She will be on with me next week. We want to say thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this conversation with Tony Mobley. Take care. Good night. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.